Well, unfortunately, we still live in an evil world. It seems like it's getting more evil all the time. I think you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's bad. And so, for the good guys, I will continue to review things for defense. And if you are a sheepdog and that's your job, for offense. That's what this video is about. We will be talking about a cold steel product, which is going to rank on my likability scale. I'll say it right now, 5 out of 5. You might be surprised. Patches at the Nutnfancy Big Cartel site, thanks to TMP Patreon. Dudes, they are the reason I still keep trucking the videos out. They're the reason I keep going out in the desert and testing stuff. They are not the reason, however, that I apparently fall down and injure my hand while testing said items. Look at the swelling, dudes. Looks like a corpse hand. That's gross. That's bad. It's all bloated. I'm lucky I did not break my hand when I fell down with a Remington M887 while testing it. It was bad. Sean the TMPer, Soldier Boy alumni, was doing the camera work. I think he stopped filming, so he didn't get the actual fall. So sorry. I was writhing in pain, man. It was bad. Here's the normal hand, if my hands can be ever classified as normal. Anyway, so sorry it looks that way, and I'm not putting gloves on for this review. So sorry. Yeah, it's jacked up. We need some decoration in the background for this Marshall blade review. How about we roll in a 1911? Previously reviewed about 8 years ago, the Smith & Wesson, older version, SW 1911 PD scandium frame. Oh man, do I love this gun. Loved it. Raved about it in that review. Still in inventory as a crew member. Not GTW for me, but I just like it. It's fun to shoot. 45 hits hard, especially with a plus P round. It's pretty reliable. It's dang accurate, and it's not that heavy with a scandium frame. 1911 PD. Mini embedded review. Dudes. 1911. I don't hear anyone carrying a 1911 except in comments. Guys will always say, oh, I carry a steel frame 1911, and they might, but I just never, ever see anybody doing it. Blade review. Here we go. It's going to be the Cold Steel Steel Tiger fixed blade. That's where I'm going to concentrate on. 49 KST for $42. That's the first thing I love about this. There's really not much I don't like about this blade. Now, TMP blade dudes may be shocked, by the way, that I am reviewing a Karambit hawkbill style of knife. Now, that might be because it's been a long time since we've talked about it, but what I said in the day, if I can remember, I think I'm pretty consistent on my viewpoints, is I don't really dislike a Karambit, but they're so specialized that in rule of law, I'm not going to make belt space for them. I'm not going to make pocket space for them. That's what I've said. I think as an effective fighting blade, a Karambit for the sheepdog, for the responsible civilian, combating said evil is amazing. Amazing. I mean, it's outstanding. You know, people like Ray T, my buddy in Colorado, he's really good with Karambits, and he could put on a demo and it would blow your mind. I'm sure there's all types of videos on YouTube where you can see guys fighting with training Karambits and such, controlling opponents' limbs, manipulating the direction of force to trip up opponents, and all the while inflicting some pretty nasty cuts along the way. Wrapping the blade around the body. It's effective for its intended purpose, and it is an ancient style of blade, and there's a reason why it's still around, and that's because it is effective. Philosophy of use on this knife is going to be freaking tactical, if you haven't figured it out. That is emergency defensive, says me. Does that mean that you couldn't use it for EDC? Well, if you're asking me, I would say yeah, pretty much. I mean, do you want to break this knife out and attempt to peel an apple? Are you going to cut a loaf of bread with this freaking steel tiger? I'm not. There's no way. And so that is a disadvantage of the design. Like I said in past years, I'd much rather carry, usually, not always, a more multi-purpose blade that can function into that emergency defensive role, right? but also can do other things. Maybe I need to baton a 2x4. All of a sudden, I'm not going to do it with this. Right? So its philosophy of use is, you get it, it's purely defensive. It's a combat blade. And in that role, it does quite well. This thing is super lightweight with its sheath. It's only 6.6 ounces. It's a 4 3/4 inch blade. It's AUS-8 steel, just like we've seen in a number of really excellent and much beloved here in TMP cold steel blades. Most of them are Hall of Famers. The folding version of this, the cold steel one, is a Tiger Claw Lockback CS 22KF. Also affordable. This one at Blade HQ is, at the time of this review, was only $42 for this freaking steel Tiger. That is awesome. You should just buy one just to test it out. See if you like it. Without rule of law, I think this one would actually be much more carryable. It would make a lot more sense because unfortunately, chances of needing such a blade, I think, unfortunately, might be increased. And maybe without rule of law, I would start carrying a steel Tiger much more frequently. The balance is outstanding. You have the retention ring like many of these designs, and of course cold steel is not the only one making a knife like this. There's all kinds. They're everywhere. No-namers, famous ones. But I wouldn't say exactly like this, but I'm saying a Karambit or hawkbill style knife, especially folders, there are a number of them. As far as an affordable one from a major manufacturer with this large, comfortable, functional handle, big old ring that can take gloved hands, by the way, probably not a lot. Probably the list is limited. So feel is awesome too. This is what they call a Grive X. So it's basically a nylon filled handle covered in Cray-X, which is kraton. So it's a rubber covering for this application. It's perfect. That Cray-X, whatever the freak they're calling it, is going to help retain that blade in the Secure X plastic sheath, which I've always loved about cold steel products. I've always said that. Secure X is so excellent. It doesn't retain water. It's durable. It's riveted together. This one doesn't have a drain hole, but that'd be easily changed. You just drill right on the side, right through, with the blade out of it, of course. Decent retention clip. Is it the best retention clip? Not the best. I think the best one would be not a clip at all, but it'd be just like a plastic riveted loop that was really riveted on there. So in the heat of battle, you come yank this, or the opponent yanks it, you don't lose your sheath. It is clipped though. I think it's designed for inside the waist belt carry. And trying it out, it seemed pretty comfortable to a point. And if we're talking about weight balance and feel, one of the points of diminishing returns is this. It's a curved fixed blade. And for that, it's going to take up kind of a weird amount of belt space, because it's not just a vertical presentation. It actually is covering kind of this distance horizontally, if that makes any sense. And I'm going to roll in another cold steel knife, which I absolutely love. It's a cold steel Recon large, and I think this is the Tanto version. Triad lock, heavily used by myself, heavily carried. This is an EDC-able and also definitely an emergency tactical blade. But that's in the extended position. Let's compare the sizes. The blades, I think this is a 4-inch blade on this Recon one. This is 4 3/4. So more reach, and again, you have the accelerating cut capability and control capabilities of a hawkbill blade. Right? Instantly, again, stonewashed. It's 5 millimeters in thickness, and it's relatively sharp. I think it would be difficult to sharpen this. You're going to have to use a really thin rod, and I think it would be kind of a pain. But it does have a nice flat for a consistent angle sharpener. Wicked bill. I mean, this is where your accelerated cut's going to happen right there. So the material, whatever it is going to come here, and it just goes faster and faster. And it basically is a ripping cut. Cold Steel has a really cool video out showing them cutting sides of beef as they normally do, showing the capabilities of their Steel Tiger. But it's an interesting size comparison, especially both in the deployed position, but this is what I was going to talk about, in the stowed position. So this is a very capable blade, for sure. It's not a hawkbill. It doesn't have the hawkbill advantages, for sure, or Karambit, whatever you want to call it. For me, I just kind of use those two interchangeably. But look at this. I mean, much more compact, and then you see how much room this takes up. That's what I'm saying. Another disadvantage is when you come into the sheath, it's not a straight in. It's actually a semicircular in and out, and you got to be careful you don't miss, or your hand's down here and you hook yourself. Is it any different than from a straight fixed blade? Kind of. I think it's just a little bit different. It takes some getting used to. So that's weight, balance, and feel. And I'm going to show you again, since we're talking about this, against a really wicked, large, definitely combat capable folding knife, also by Cold Steel. It's a Recon XL Triad Lock. This thing has been proven in batoning and hard use in TMP. It's a wicked folder. I highly recommend it. I bent it in the hard use and I just resharpened it. It is featuring the same steel. OS 8A has a wicked tip on it. Look at the edge I've put on it. I like how that Teflon just has worn off. It makes it look cool. Removable thumb studs for sharpening. You can see I've done that. Great grip. Envelops the hand. That's a nasty blade. And getting back to philosophy of use, I don't know if I would break this knife out and peel an apple. I usually have a smaller EDC blade to do that. Today it's going to be a Spyderco Dragonfly. But you could definitely slice a loaf of bread with it. You could definitely baton wood with it. I've done that multiple times with this very knife. So it's more multi-purpose than that. And then I think you could make the case as far as a defensive blade, a combat blade, it's actually pretty capable as well. I don't think that's even an argument. And if you differ, that's fine, but no one's ever going to convince me. Not saying that the Karambit isn't wicked. It is. I went to a website, Karambit.com, and I'll just quote what they said about the retention and capabilities of the Karambit, concentrating on the safety ring. Here it goes. The safety ring is designed to prevent the Karambit from sliding back through the user's hand while working at odd angles on difficult tasks or in specialized environments like underwater or while hanging upside down. In battle, the safety ring provides a strong, sure hold in all conditions and through the most unexpected stressors. The Karambit safety ring makes the knife exceptionally difficult to disarm and to turn against its user. And it also allows the wielder to rely on the blade's design for increased weapon retention instead of depending on grip strength alone. Whether the user's hand is open or closed, moving or motionless, palm up or palm down, and by the way, I don't know if I'm demonstrating all this well enough, but you get the idea. Palm up or palm down, or anywhere else in between due to the safety ring, my sprained hand holding it now, the Karambit knife is always secure and in optimal position for use. A Karambit's grip security is particularly valuable when the knife is covered in dust, mud, water, and other stuff, and being utilized at difficult angles required for a combat application. Well said, Karambit.com. Thank you. So I agree with all that, but what we're talking about is the focus of a knife and its capability to be multi-purpose. There you go. And it's an interesting size observation that I made. So both in the closed position and in the deployed position, I think a folder will win, depending on which folder. Look how huge this knife is. Freak, man. That is massive. And against the XL Tanto large, that's a big blade. Let's compare it against the Karambit. By the way, this XL clip blade, by the way, is my favorite. I've carried this many times. I've had it on gear checks before. This is a knife that conceals, in my opinion, a little bit better than this because it is a relatively deep carry, goes in a pocket, easy to extract with a lanyard. There you go. Just an interesting comparison and contrast. The 8A steel they're using in the Steel Tiger, I have no problems with at all. I think it's fine. I mean, if a shiv in prison made out of a toothbrush works, this will be even better, right? Much better. You kind of have a guard on what I think is a near perfect handle for me. I talked about its materials, but I didn't really talk about the design. You have some finger grooves in here and a nice big guard, both below and above. It also, like this one and that other knife I showed you, the Recon Tanto, envelops your hand. I'm at an odd angle here because of the camera tripod. Again, you get the idea. So you don't have to worry about coming forward and cutting your fingers, especially with the retention ring, right? Sheath is discussed previously. I love it. Quality and durability. Well, 8A will rust on you. Got to be a little bit careful with it. I've talked about the sharpening aspect of it. I think that would be a freaking nightmare. Be careful of your tip. If you were just to drop this on the pavement and it hit just in a certain way, you're going to probably blunt it. And the whole purpose of this is you want to keep that tip wicked sharp, right? Wicked sharp. But I think durability for what it's designed for is going to be phenomenal. I'm really impressed with the weight. It's under 7 ounces, and that's a lot lighter than this knife. Well, let me make sure I'm telling you right, because I haven't weighed this one. That one's 7 ounces. Can I have my scale nearby? Yep, here it is. I think that super large XL is going to be heavier. This one right here will be lighter, I think, but let's just find out. Sorry, Patches, gotta go. TMP scale coming into operation, and we're gonna weigh the XL. Dude, it's not that much heavier. It's 8 ounces, so pretty similar. And this one's gonna be lighter still. Which one would you carry, though? I mean, if in rule of law, let's say you're a police officer, 5.5, so this is even lighter still than the Steel Tiger. Between just these 3 knives on the table, which one are you going to carry as a police officer? Let's say it's the philosophy of use as a backup weapon. I bet you I know the answer, and I would agree with you. I think most y'all would say this one right here. That I think is realistic. As a police officer in uniform, it depends what your departmental policy is too. Most departments will not even let you carry this. That is not something they want to see their officers deploy. They don't want to see it on some iPhone video popping up somewhere, even if you had to use it. It's just where we are as a society. This would be much easier to conceal as a backup weapon. If they try to take your primary duty weapon, can you get to that as fast? That's actually an interesting discussion. How fast between these 3 knives would this deploy? This is, if someone's practiced with a Karambit hawkbill, run. That's what I say, run. Now, I think, honestly, the Steel Tiger and other knives like it, I think why they sell so well is because of the cool factor. Can we be honest? That people like the looks of it, and maybe they're talking about knives with their friends, and they break this knife out, and it's immediate like, oh my gosh, that looks nasty. And guys like that. Guys like things that look mean, right? They like things that look cool. And so for maybe just that, the dude's carrying it. I get it. I mean, I'm on board. As far as effectiveness, though, and the damage this thing can inflict on said evil, it's really not debatable. It's a great knife. And for $42, the fixed blade version, and also remember the Tiger Claws, the folding version, it's recommended. Super high likability scale for what it's intended for. Maybe not super multi-purpose. I represented that. But as a focused fighter, the Steel Tiger's awesome. Well done, Cold Steel.